And people are saying that relationships are robbery. Relationships are robbery. But who's getting robbed? Is it the man? Let's really think about why so many men feel that way. Because that feeling don't just come out of nowhere, right? So look, let me be clear about something first, man. A lot of men carrying around a lot of frustration right now. And that frustration does have a source, right? And so men are being told to provide, to commit, to show up, to be consistent, to be emotionally available, to be financially stable, and to do all of that. And in return, a lot of men are reporting that they feel drained. They feel unappreciated. Men feel replaced emotionally, even before the relationship is officially over, right? And so you got men talking about internet boyfriends and the guys she's DMing, the guys she's tagging, spiritual boyfriends, the guys that she's having a deeper emotional connection with other than her actual partner. You know, every relationship has an emotional economy. What goes in, what comes out, effort, attention, investment, all of it gets put somewhere, right? And a lot of men are describing it as a situation where the emotional economy is completely unbalanced. What I mean is the man is investing everything and she's investing somewhere else, right? Not necessarily physically, but it could be emotionally, right? The woman mind gone, the woman gone, right? And so for a man, an emotional investment is where it starts. And so the physical stuff is downstream from that, because you got to remember, if a woman's emotional needs are being met by three other sources, the internet, her homegirls, her spiritual connection with somebody else, what does she really need from you? You do all of the stable, boring things right without her really realizing that those boring things that you do is really the foundation for everything. That's where men really start to feel like they're being used, not maliciously, but structurally, right? Relationship was designed to extract something from them without really reciprocating at that same level that they need, right? So the man may be providing for her because he's a hard-working, stable man. He may be boring, because I'm seeing a lot of stuff now too where a lot of ladies are making videos talking about that they're leaving their husbands because they're too quote-unquote boring, but they do the foundational stuff right. So with that being said, this is one of the reasons why men are saying that relationships like robbery, and men are talking about this right now. Not a woman really reaching in your pocket, an arrangement that takes everything you got and they package all of it up and they call it love, right? But this is where I really push back at, right? Because I think relationships are a robbery. Really, robbery implies that you were victim. We men, we ain't no victims. Whatever happens in a man's life is that man's fault, regardless if he caused it or not. We have to take accountability because we men, right? But if you walk into every relationship with that energy, I'm just waiting to get robbed, then you really gonna attract that type of energy into your life. And so let's say this, the men who feel the most robbed in relationships are usually the men who went without standards. A lot of things can be misunderstood. So when dynamics go sideways, when the emotional economy gets unbalanced, then you don't have a foundation to recognize it early and just walk away. So in other words, if you don't really understand who your woman was as a person outside of the relationship between you and her, then a lot of things can get misconstrued, because she might be presenting herself as a certain character in front of you. And so you really got to have a sense of who the woman that you're dealing with and who you trying to take serious. You really got a sense, you really got to have a sense of who that woman was just as a person. You know what I mean? Because as men, we can get blindsided by the intimacy and the, you know what I mean? Just the aura and the, you know, some women really just know how to pull a man in, but that person can be really not a good person. So this is what's happening, right? Men are getting in relationships that the woman that they're dealing with, right? But they're continuing to provide and to care and to do what they're supposed to do as a man. And then they're starting to feel resentment, and resentment builds up. And as the cliche goes, pressure busts the pipe, right? And so then men start to feel like relationships are a robbery. But here's the difference. A prepared man, a man who knows his value, knows his standards, because every man has to have standards, right? Otherwise, you just a leaf, you blowing in the wind, man. So you give and you do for others out of the goodness of your heart. And you understand that a good woman, a good relationship requires that on both sides. Then that man doesn't really stay in a situation where he's being drained. So if a man knows how to recognize, then he won't put himself in a position where he feels like he's drained. Right? And so that man knows how to identify good character early in the woman that he's dealing with. You have to leave. A man has to leave. There's no compromise. A man must live by standards, right? So the question isn't whether the relationship can be a robbery. The question is, why did you let the relationship get that far to where now you're being robbed? It's all about self-accountability. That's what we have to learn. We can't blame things that happen outside. We can't blame nothing outside ourselves, bro. We responsible, bro. But anyway, think about that, man. Drop a comment, man. Let me know what you think about this situation. Add to the conversation in the comments. I read them. Your boy be straight, and I'm gonna holler at you on the next one.